Alright, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Cap Deadwake here, your blue collar captain with the Hull B. I've got it decked out with the Dusk livery, really kind of matching my stealth vibes. If you saw me in the live stream, we were rocking what I call the Bumblebee, which is the first light livery, I believe, the yellow and black. This is a lot more my style. It's kind of like with the Hermes. I started out with the Lockdown, that nice yellow and black, but I eventually ended up going to the Trip line, which is a really nice black and sort of gray silver livery. But we got some missions here, one brand, which is the Ling family. We're running some contracts, but we're also going to throw some NN15 cannons on this, not on the top mount because that's for your co-pilot, but I'm going to replace the Omnis I have under my nose with those NN15s. This is definitely not a combat ship, but with 8 size 3 missiles and 4 size 3 hardpoints, it's not bad. If you got a buddy that can run that turret up top with some NDBs, or hell, some Panthers, you know, something that will be able to track smaller ships a bit easier, and then you get the cannons on front, or hell, even put NN15s or Omnis on top like I have here. This thing is a bit better at defending itself than you might think it is, especially with how nimble it can be. First off, let's go ahead and pop open our airlock. Now, this is an actual airlock. It's not just a double door. It's just a really claustrophobic space. You can fully fit in here and turn around. Close your outer door, which is nice for simulating life support, not escaping the ship and, you know, having to have that rebalanced, and then open the internal door. But it's also really cool for just ship security, for helping to prevent people from sneaking on your ship, because you can always have one of these doors closed. And of course you can close this one for that double layer protection on the outside. It's a lot harder to get in these ships with small arms fire now, thanks to armor. So, all in all, I think that's a really cool design. I kind of hope that the other Misc ships get that effect, you know, having that double door protection, that proper airlock, because we don't have that on the A or the C. A might be a little hard because it's quite small, but at least the C would be cool. So we just hit right Alt K to unlock our ports. Let me go swap out my cannons real quick. Then we're going to load up this cargo and get interstellar, baby. We'll be heading into Stanton to drop off the Ling family order to rank that up. I am junior rep, guys, with the Ling family, and so far still not seeing anything above rookie level. We'll check inside Pyro, and that's not Ling family. We'll check inside Pyro and Stanton as well. But here at junior rank and Levski, I still only have access to the rookie missions. They still pay out pretty well, but yeah, still waiting for those junior and up. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure we've got the cannon and not the Veripuck. We don't want to take that off. I'm just gonna leave these cannons here at Levski, and then let me grab the beautiful NN15 to mount it on the ship. Ah, look at that. That looks awesome. Now, there's one thing in my use of the ship that I really love. It is the really well-designed simplicity of these cargo grids. The tractor beams are also awesome as well. I've used them quite a bit with the live stream when we were first trying this thing out yesterday, and they were pretty good. I put them in the top tier for this size ship's tractor beam usage, competing really well with the Raft and the Taurus. More often than not, I will probably still just be outside using my rifle for most things, because you have to get in and out of your ship to interact with these external freight elevators. You're already outside. I've always been pretty biased to using the max lift, especially if you got a scroll wheel that can just freely spin on your mouse. It is a massive help. Highly recommend everybody look into one of those if you're in the market for a new mouse. I got the Razer Basilisk V3 Pro. I know that the Logitechs can do it as well. Lots of good options. Definitely worth it if you end up throwing a lot of cargo in this game. Another thing that we learned yesterday is you cannot cross spindles. Each of these spindles are dedicated. So if you have a 16, it will not go vertically over this. Will it always be this way? Probably, because if you look, there's actually a pretty healthy separation in the spindles between these, and we also do have some lights on our spindles for the first time. They're not very bright, I'll admit. They don't really do a whole good job of like illuminating the entire area, but it's a better positioning of lights than we have, say, on like our whole Cs, where the lights just don't make any sense. Now, I'm only spreading it like this just because that's just how I am. I can be a little picky about symmetry. You don't need to. You can just throw it all on one spindle if you want. It's just how I'm doing it. Plus, I do plan to pick up some more stuff along the way, other missions and such. I plan to use the hell out of this ship. I want it to look so worn and torn, you'd wonder what it has been through. I also don't know how long we're going to have these rentals, so we'll see. If you're an Imperator subscriber, you got this ship for free for probably about a week is what I would guess. I'm also bringing this loot box just in case, because you never know. Maybe we find stuff that we want to take with us. Let me go ahead and drop those guns, and let's move on to the rest of these missions. Now, this ship is wonderfully maneuverable For its size and the amount of cargo it can carry, it is impressive, man. We'll probably take it into a little bit of combat just to see how she throws around. Again, we got 8 size 3 missiles on this cargo hauler, not to mention 4 size 3 guns, 2 of which you have control from the pilot seat. But yeah, as far as its overall nimbleness and its ability to shift its weight around, even fully loaded, I've done that as well. I did that on the live stream. It's a nice break from the heavy, lumbering nature of even our Hermes, but also our, Cats and C2s that compete directly with this ship for its cargo capacity, and of course, way more nimble than our Hull Cs. As for the components I'm running, I am stealth across the board. We have a grade A stealth quantum drive, the Spicule. I call it the Sparkle because that is such a weird name. We have a grade B power plant thanks to a buddy of ours who let us have one of the Gamma Max. If not that, I'd be running a Cirrus that you can find in Stanton over at Grimhex of all places. And of course we're running icebox coolers and shroud shields. I usually keep my shields and weapons powered off unless I need them just to maintain that low signature, so I don't run quite like the average starting industry guy does, or maybe even just like regular industry people that don't think about low emission. Now, a little tip, this is very immersion breaking, so take that with a grain of salt, but getting through wormholes has been a problem lately. If you just fly through the middle, hitting the pillars doesn't matter right now. You seem to have a better chance of getting through without getting spat back out in the previous system. Eventually, these pillars should have a consequence, but they haven't put one in yet. I follow that closely with all the updates that come out, but it is my tactic currently to avoid having to go through a wormhole 10 times because of desync or whatever. Not that it'll always work, it just seems that it's helped me when I'm trying to cross. My motivation for that, in case it's not clear, is I'm trying to stay as centered in the tunnel as possible so the system doesn't desync and register me too close to a wall, which then causes the potential for you to get spat out in your original destination. You also notice, if you listen, I pointed this out in the live stream, I think paying homage to the bee, the insect sort of vibes, when you're boosting, it almost sounds like a skittering insect from your engines, and I love that feature. What better time than in Quantum to go ahead and do a little tour of the rest of the ship? What I love, and I hope we see in other ships, is right here. We got a utility rack, guys. This is where you can stash a repair tool, your tractor, rifle, as well as your multi-tools that you have handy. You can carry 3 of them down here. I love this. I love this. You can close it up. It even says utility locker when you open it. Also, just the general simplistic design of the cockpit is really great. You also have this cool little split here, which you can currently vault over. I don't know that that is going to be a permanent thing, so don't get too attached to it. But you can currently vault from one seat to the next from each seat. Funny little quirk that I kind of hope stays in, honestly. I don't really think it gives pilots of this ship much of an advantage over others in a real meaningful way, but it does allow for a quick way to hop into the tractor turret, which is in the co-pilot seat, which is so much better than the Hull C, the Raft, and even the Taurus. Now, the Taurus is the turret right behind the pilot seat, so that's probably the second best in my opinion, location-wise, but the Raft having to go up to its second level, and the Hull C being up on its own second level, and only having the one to control all 4, kind of clunky. I mean, also the Caterpillar, you have to go to that separate starboard side to access its own tractor beam. But so here to the right, we have our galley. We got a nice counter area. No storage in here from what I can see, but there is a little refrigerators that you can access, which is kind of cool. And then, of course, you have your seats where you can hang out and ponder your next delivery with your one other person on the ship, because this is a ship meant for 2, which is kind of cool because it means it's not going to be overly packed. In this side, opposite the galley, you have the quarters for the 2 people, including a full 1 SCU storage on each bed, which I like. I still think that the Hermes kind of got screwed over there a little bit with their tiny 450 storage units, or like half an SCU, whereas this ship has a full SCU in each one, for reasons, I guess. Looks like you also have light controls that you can hit once you're laying down. And then you have a little fridge here as well, little seat that, yeah, you can activate, which is cool. Nice little port viewing off of port side. And of course your head, which has, well, maybe not in Quantum. Interesting. This mirror works usually, but it's not right now. Maybe because we're in Quantum mode. Looks like you can also pick up your cleaning materials and maybe stash other stuff here. Didn't know that. That's kind of cool. And then, of course, you can open this up to bring your toilet and toilet paper out like any other system. Now, coming back here, you have, of course, your main passageway coming onto the ship. You got your suit lockers, the place to sit to try on new shoes, and your weapons rack, which is not going to fit Huh? I think this is a bug. You should be able to store your Karna rifle here, because you can store other guns here. I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. That might be an issue, console. But you can also store your pistols and all, as well as your med guns, because they're calibrated like pistols here. I put my P4 here the other day. I don't know why you can't store the Karna. I think that that's a bug, because this is a weapons rack. Weird. Let me know if you guys have run into this with any other specific weapons. I'll be looking for an issue console. In fact, if there is one, it'll be in the link, or sorry, it'll be a link in the description of this video. So please go contribute to that so we can get that fixed. That is a little clunky. Of course, this is our drop-down elevator. We got our airlock there, and then back through here is our engineering room. Unlike the Hull C, this is as far as you go. There is no aft ship access. You can't get to the back of the ship. This is where you access your components, all packaged really nicely, as well as your fuses, and then your engineering terminal right here. I think it's a really well laid out setup. This is a very simplistic design to a ship. Everything's in a pretty good place, tightly configured. I love that. We are about 30 gigs from Microtech to pick up the rest of this load. We'll probably fast forward to later parts, offloading, maybe get some closing thoughts on the ship. There's not a whole lot to say now because I haven't had it for too long, but we will definitely be using the hell out of this ship and reporting back, kind of like I did on the Hermes, after probably about a week's worth of use. We still had the bug where the little identifier is sticking up on the screen, which is annoying. But so far, I have really enjoyed flying this thing. I guess we'll do a tiny little combat test with like a little MRT or something on the bounty side, or like a Foxwell mission, and then we will probably call it there. Maybe looting a salvage mission? I don't know, I'm kind of getting ideas on the fly. Hopefully this video isn't too long. As always, let me know what you think down below, and we will get back to it. Now, as always, I like to use moons to navigate around planets. I avoid OM nodes. OM nodes are easy pickings for pirates and criminals alike, so again, make yourself a harder target. Build these good habits as industrial players. Now, the way I like to park at these freight elevators will help you get really close, and I've been getting pretty good at it. You just want to come over belly down and kind of look at where the foot platform is, and then stop yourself where you can still fly over it, out there, and then kind of aim toward these brackets, and then come to a stop. At this point in the video, I didn't plan to add any commentary because I was just here to pick up the remainder of the Link family contract to take the two to New Babbage and Area 18. In a very fitting circumstance, another player decided to get involved with, I guess, the goal of taking my ship. It was pretty bad. It wasn't very smart, but it goes to show why I give the advice I do. Check this out. And that right there, my friends, is the sound of a ship that is very close by. Now, I did look around while I was outside to see if maybe there were any other cargo ships at a pad or coming in, and I didn't see anything other than this little Cuddy Blue hovering in an ominous position. And when it comes to this sort of situation, if you're not expecting somebody, you should be on high alert, ready to get out of there. As you can see, little dude thought he was going to EVA over to my ship. We were smarter, though, and managed to get in and get out of there before anything weird could happen. Yeah, we got a player acting funny. I don't know about you guys, but it is incredibly satisfying to foil somebody's plot like this. You know, whether it's trying to ambush you in combat or something, or, you know, get the drop on you as you're exiting your ship, which is what I would have to assume was this guy's goal. But given the way that I go about leaving my ships and just my general habits, as you've even seen in this video, he would have sat there thinking he was going to get in just to find my internal door behind me already closed, and probably feel pretty stupid, or try to wait me out or something. I don't know. Staring contest, maybe we would break into song and dance together. Those kind of moments would be funny, but I don't take those chances. When it comes to video games like this, or like Sea of Thieves, and to some games in general, I operate with a dark forest mentality. If you don't know what that is, you should look it up. The short version is that in a world where you don't know people's intent, it is better to assume ill intent to protect yourself than to assume good intent and get taken advantage of. I take this mindset to its fullest in Pyro, to the point to where, just like in the Dark Forest theory, you don't know the intent of the other hunters in the forest, so it's better to kill them before they kill you. But in Stanton, I don't go that extreme. I typically will just try to avoid the situation, or maybe come back and fight them later if they are a criminal with a bounty or whatever. But bottom line here, it felt good to get away from this dude, to carry on with our missions without too much interruption. Now, I did end up calling this individual out in the global chat. I like doing that. I like to troll the trolls, or in some cases, troll the criminals. I find it entertaining, he didn't so much. I did tell him that I'd be, showing this part of the video, so hey, Dymox, if you're watching, I hope you enjoy, my friend. Now, this wasn't enough for him. I came back later after dropping off my load down to New Babbage to see if I could pick up the rest for A18 at Port Tressler. This time, I was just going to hop into the hangar just to avoid the extra shenanigans. But wouldn't you know it, this little salty butterfly was waiting for me in an eclipse. So I bumped into nav mode and quantumed away as he thought he was going to fire a torpedo at me, which was likely extra salt in the wound for him and that much more satisfying for me. I told him there's no way he's going to catch me. He didn't know who he was dealing with. And what I meant by that was having the level of common sense and precaution that I have and what I try to teach other industrial players to go by. At the end of the day, I was able to acquire the remaining little bit of cargo that was over at Port Tressler and take it down to Area 18 for a final turn-in on the Ling family contracts before we moved into some fun other tests with salvage, looting, and combat on the Hull B. Alright guys, let's see if we can have a little fun here with a salvage mission. Park right here since our exit port's off to the side, and actually, wow, here's our chance to look at the Caterpillar next to the Hull B. Let's do that first. So right about there gives you a nice sort of footprint for this thing. That looks really good, and they're pretty comparable in length. The Caterpillar's still longer, still wider, a lot bulkier. Looking at a size 3 or a large ship versus a medium ship here in this regard, not considering cargo capacities, they're very similar in cargo cap. The registered max limit of the Caterpillar is 576, with the Hull B sitting at 512. So we got about an hour to clean up here. No problem. We're not here to scrape, of course. We're here to loot. And wouldn't you know it, the damn thing is totally empty. Sad face. These missions were carrying a buttload of loot on them, but that might have changed. This is the unverified salvage claim, and that really sucks. Alright, so much for that test. Cool to see the ship side by side, though. Alright guys, let's see how she does in combat. We got an MRT here, shouldn't be too crazy. If we complete this well, we'll shoot over to an HRT. I imagine that's going to be pretty tough. Nope, it is a low signature. It's a Talon. We're actually detecting him before he detects us. That's kind of funny. Oh, we got 2 Talons to deal with over here, huh? Wait a minute, hold up. You guys notice that? We got a bubble shield, or not a bubble shield. We have shield faces. I just realized that. Shit. More testing required here. Did they change size 2s? Oh, I wouldn't take this up against a competent player. Yeah, shit. But NPCs are kind of derpy. Alright, the 2 size 3s are going to take a while.
Those bastards are going to pay for that.
Alright, let's trade shield faces. Now that is insanely cool. I don't think we're reasonably getting to that 400i anytime soon, though. It's not the best. Alright. Apparently there's still some shield to wrap around, so we're going to give our front shields time to come back. And we'll give them a parting salvo of missiles.
Getting chewed up here.
Yeah, his shields have already come back again. We can't lay in enough firepower for it to make sense. But this is not a combat boat, so that tracks. Let's go ahead and bust out of here, get repaired. I'll give my final thoughts, and I think that'll do it for this video. Alright guys, there we have it. The Hull B is a fun ship, is a very capable hauler. Might be a really good sort of Utini salvage loot vessel as well. You can comfortably also fit 2s and 1s inside the ship to the airlock, which is nice if you don't want to have yourself extended the whole time. Rough as a combat vessel, as you would expect of a Misc ship to this caliber. I'm glad it at least has size 3s, but without all 4 size 3s being incorporated, you're really not doing much. And even with the 4 compared to other ships around its size, it is not putting out a whole lot. You're best trying to stay off radar or get away and just live to haul another day in this thing. I would love to know what everybody else thinks of this ship. I really like the design. I love the engineering that went into how it extends and collapses. I love the aesthetic of it. I have really felt kinship to it, you know, flying the whole sea as much as I do, except it feels more like I'm flying a Hull A, which is nice. It's nimble, it's tight when it needs to be. Being able to land on planets and moons and such is really cool. Overall, I think a lot of people are really going to have fun with this ship, and hopefully whatever tweaks are made to it don't negatively impact it too much. I hope it keeps its current flight characteristics, because I think it actually makes sense for its size with these engines, and you do feel the weight a bit when you've got it fully loaded and extended out. I plan to use this ship a whole lot more, and I do want to keep it in my fleet. I'll figure out what to move around to make that happen. Outside of that, guys, I will catch you out in the verse. Take care.